In this video, we'll look at using tools to change the height of the raceway and also to change properties of a raceway. So in previous videos, I've set up my electrical project, and in the previous video to this one, we created a line string and then converted that to a raceway. So if I look in my model here, in my view one, which I've got in a illustration display style, and right now it's in a top orientation. If I rotate this around, so Control Shift right click, I'll choose my rotate view dynamically. You'll see the raceway there, and the way that it was modeled, it's sitting on the floor, and so that's fine. But because what I can do now is adjust the height of the raceway. So we use the floor selector. We set our floor selector to office floor 1, which turns on our locks up here. And when I place that line string with those locks turned on, it went down to the finished floor elevation. And again, that's okay because we have tools here to modify the height of a raceway. So I'll use my element selection tool. So I can right press, get my context sensitive menu, and choose element selection right from there. And over here in the view 2, which is in the top orientation, I'll drag a window from left to right, so anything within that window will get selected. I'll use my control key on the keyboard to add to my selection set, so I'll get the other pieces of this raceway, and continuing to hold my control key down. Whenever I have a selection set, I can see in the status bar down there, it tells me how many components I've got in that selection set. And so to adjust the height of this, I can come to my electrical tab up here in the ribbon interface and come to the Raceways group right here. And this set of tools right here, notice we have modify, height, etc. So I'll choose height right here, and we'll get the edit height dialog box, and I can do an absolute height, which just means whatever the height was before, just ignore that and move it to this height. So an absolute height, I'm going to type in 13 feet, hit a tab on my keyboard. We also have an option for relative height. So relative height would be just to move it relative to the position it is in. So if I were to have a raceway that was at 12 feet and I needed to move it to 13 feet, I could use relative height and just set it to 1 foot, and that would move it up to the 13 feet. So once I've got that all set, I'll click OK in the dialog box, and then I see in view 1 how that raceway has moved up. So if I rotate my view around, again, I'll choose my rotate view dynamically option here. I see how the raceway was moved up. Now, in this view, I've got this architectural spaces on. Let me go in here and go to my level display. Turn off the spaces temporarily here, so that's that A area level. Now that just affected view 2, so I'll say apply to all my open views. And I zoomed out once here. You can see the 2D representation of the raceway is still at the floor elevation down there. So when you model these raceways, like all the other symbols in EcoSim Building Designer electrical discipline, we have the 3D portion of it and the 2D portion of it. We can also modify the properties of the raceway. So now I've got this raceway in my model out here. Again, I can element select it. If I do a right press on my mouse, notice we can say select previous here, and that will just select the previous selection set that I had created earlier with my element selection tool. And then back up here in the electrical tab of the ribbon interface, I'll come to that same group of tools here and pick that first tool, which is modify, and we'll get this Raceway Properties that we saw in the previous video when we converted the line string to a raceway. So once we have it in the model, we can adjust it if we need to. And so I can see it's a cable tray solid bottom. So in this first list here, I'll choose cable ladder, and steel will be my material. You can see the options there. And I'll adjust the width and the height. So this time I'll choose 24 inches wide with the height of 3 and select OK. The application will do some processing. And then I'll see that I have adjusted the properties. So now I have that cable ladder instead of the cable tray with the solid bottom. So modifying the height and modifying the properties of existing raceways in the model.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.